somebody asked me what I thought about cryslogic channel, basically, and her going after black men. This was on my video where I'm talking about Cynthia J and how I think that, I don't appreciate Cynthia J going after black men and seeking out black men. Why would you attack black men and try to attract black men? Doesn't make sense. You can't do two at a time. That's my whole issue. And the reason I made that video, it was actually in response to seeing someone else's content, specifically a content creator that I don't mention her name because I feel like my platform it's too messy to bring her up, really. But it was her that I was talking about basically, because she made a video on how when you date interracially, you are told not to talk about black men at all, and just to get a white man or whatever in silence. Basically, that's what she was saying in her video, and what I was saying from that was that that there's nothing wrong with speaking on black men, in my opinion, if you're a divested woman or you're a woman who interracially dates. The person I was talking about was a rainbow swirler, so she's she's she interracially dates, so that's what I was talking about there. Like cryslogic, though, I would say the more anger you seem to have in you for black men, the more love you seem to have for black men. I'm just saying, the more hurt you seem to have for the involvement with black men. And like I said, sometimes people focus on what is unsaid rather than what's said. That's maybe why I would like a content creator that I was talking about was more so, not as angry and a lot more upbeat and not as affected. Yes, I mean, like, if you are interacting with black men and you are very angry, it shows that you have a lot of hurt. But if you are interacting with them just as if they are just people, that you don't have much issue with either way because they're not on the radar, that's a different story. And that's how I feel with cryslogic, is kind of like this. Cryslogic is divested. I mean, like, from what I watched on her videos, yeah, she's divested. The reason she says she's divested, to me, kind of says that there may be something there. But, she is divested, so I'm like, if she wants to trash talk black men, go on ahead. I'm not going to talk against that. I just feel like, I don't like to come off a certain way, because you get a lot of people who will say, who hurt you, who did this, who did that, and I don't think that's a good brand for divestment, basically. And, but, I wanted to talk about her other video because somebody asked me basically about what do I think about her. And at that time, I had only watched like a video of hers, maybe. And shortly after that, I watched another video of which I agreed with her on. It specifically was on white women, a white woman who didn't prefer black men. But I watched her video on why she said she preferred white men over black men. She specifically was saying how black men don't protect black women. And I am of the mentality like this. I feel like black men will protect black women if they think that they have access to her intimately. If he doesn't know that he's not someone that you would ever be interested in, Black men are very opportunistic, basically. Dark-skinned black men are very desperate, okay? We've talked about this before. A lot of the time, a lot of black people talk about black men being desperate for white women, and it's like, to me, from my perspective, that's not completely true. From my perspective, it seems like they are just desperate. Okay, they're desperate for women of any race. And I've said that before. I know. I think maybe to some extent, maybe darker skinned women have less of an issue and they don't realize how desperate they are. But I think most black women, for one, aren't dark skinned. Most black women are brown skinned or my color or lighter. So, um, most women aren't dark skinned. So I don't know what they experience on that level. And when I say dark skin, I mean very dark skinned, not, like a Gabrielle Union's color or anything. Anyway, but as far as a black woman, they are very desperate. You can see that. And, like, generally, when they interact with you, they tend to be like, they will try to do anything to get with you, kind of thing. And I mean, like, to me, sometimes you can use that to your own benefit. I mean, like, you can use that as a form of protection. But when I was younger, I always liked to basically try to get black men to basically understand that I wasn't interested in them and to leave me the heck alone and to basically hate me, because I felt like if I string you along and you basically think that you could possibly be in a relationship, get sex, get whatever you want to get from me, it'll only make it worse once you find out that you can't, you know. So for me, it's just like, I try to be very forward and honest and open that, I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like you. That's just how I used to be. I guess as I've gotten older, I've gotten tired, I've gotten a little lazy, and so nowadays I'm just like, well, you'll find out, kind of thing. Or you won't. I don't really care. So to me, like, when she says, like, black men don't protect black women, black men will do anything for a black woman, basically, in order to get a black woman, in bed and all that stuff. So sometimes they do try to protect an effort for something in return, basically. That's what they always do. If that's off the table, then they are so cranky and angry and bitter. But I think black men are bitter sometimes because it's like, I think maybe we've talked about this before, that in the dating situations in dating life, it's a lot harder for black men and black women. You know, black people have a harder time with dating because, one, we're a minority. Two, it's really hard with other races more than other races because of the connotation of being black. Now, that goes with black men and black women, and it's so weird that people always think that the connotation only goes to black men or the connotation only goes to black women. No, it really doesn't. And some people will even try and say, like, among the dating market, black men might get a better chance than a black woman because they think that that people are more attracted to them or something. But, I mean, they're talking about just for sex, which is really weird because don't you understand? Any black woman could get any race of man asleep with her. So that's like a weird idea there. Because, I mean, like, we all know men, we all know how men are, okay? It's kind of weird to say black women would not have the same options as black men on that regard. I would think, actually, honestly, black women would have more options because women tend to be a little bit more selective than men when it comes to the whole thing of interest sexually, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Um, but anyway, that's all I have to say here. It's just like when she's saying like that she doesn't feel protected by black men, I understand where she's coming from, but I also understand that yeah, they do, but they do only if they can get something in return, you know. And sometimes if they're not interested or whatever in you, then that's a whole different story. I don't know how that would work. Um, like for me personally with black men, it's always been where I've had to um, try to avoid them on that level. So I don't know, but I'm just saying from my perspective, as far as being a black woman with black men, they do have a tendency to try to protect in some cases more than other races from my perspective, but it's always where they want something in return, basically.